Alright, how we doing, folks? Today is Monday, January 29th, 2018. Rich Van Tassel with you, giving you our weekly NBA report. As usual, in the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics still have the top overall spot, though the lead certainly has been trimmed. They had lost a few games, four straight to be exact, when they had come back from London. Some of those were really bad. They lost to teams like the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, the New Orleans Pelicans had been playing well. That was before DeMarcus Cousins had gone down, but certainly the Charlotte Hornets, or the Orlando Magic, that is, as well. So they had some bad losses. They got a victory against the Los Angeles Clippers. Then they lost on the primetime game on Saturday night to the Golden State Warriors. It was a good game. It was tight. Kyrie Irving had a lot of points. I thought that they just couldn't have any answers for Steph Curry the whole time, though. And it's certainly something they got to work on. Now, the Celtics are only one of two teams, the San Antonio Spurs being the other, on giving up less than 100 points per game. 4.4 in their differential, so they've got to start figuring out their offense, though, a little bit. It's been a lot of Kyrie Irving carrying everything. Al Horford really is not picking up enough of the slack, in my opinion. Al Horford's playing well on the defensive side of the ball, giving you more than one block per game. He assists the ball very well. He's just shy of 8 rebounds, so he's doing well in that regard, but only 13.4 points. There's got to be more than that. Jason Tatum's starting to cool off a bit, though he's keeping his averages there. You look, though, Marcus Morris, who I think has been a nice addition, is giving you over 11 points, or giving you almost 12 points. You have Marcus Smart, who's now hurt, whatever that story is, cut his hand on the hotel lamp or something. Who knows? He's going to be out for 2 weeks. He's giving you over 10 points. But you look at, apart from Kyrie Irving just shy of 25, it's 14.2 for Jaylen Brown, 13.4 for Tatum, 13.4 for Horford. They've got to find a little bit more scoring. Guys off the bench are not really doing that much apart from Marcus Morris. Marcus Smart also comes off the bench as well. So you're getting some bench production there, but then Terry Rozier gives you good minutes, good energy, but then after him, it kind of cools off a bit. So that's something to keep an eye on with the Celtics. Then, of course, you have the Toronto Raptors, now only a game out. They are 33-15, one game behind the Celtics. They're plus 7.3 in their differential. They are really playing well this year. This is a team to keep an eye on. They're getting the All-Star coaching. Excuse me, the All-Star coach. Their coaches are coaching the All-Star game. I can't talk this morning, sorry. Because obviously Brad Stevens did it last year, so it has to be Dwayne Casey and them. You look, DeMar DeRozan still giving you a very good point production. Serge Ibaka, I think, has been very nice since they brought him in. Certainly still playing well on the defensive side of the ball, 1.5 blocks. Rebounding the ball well also. Giving you 6 rebounds per game. The 13 points, they need that. Kyle Lowry, 16.4. Those are the guys that, not Kyle Lowry, so to speak. He's one of the guys they rely on. But they need Valanciunas, they need Serge Ibaka to continue to make strides and move up. Cleveland, 29-19. They've won 2. Let's see if they've righted the ship a bit. There's still 5 out of the Celtics for the top spot. I don't think it matters that much, but I heard something interesting. It was kind of that they always are the road team come the finals because they play, they don't make necessarily an effort for the top overall seed in the East. So being the road team even before they get to the finals in some series affects them. So that may have been the reason they've lost a few. We'd have to check that out. But it's certainly something that can't be overlooked. So let's see. Just read something that Tyronn Lue is going to stagger the minutes of Isaiah Thomas and LeBron James. I don't know how effective that'll be. It shows that they might not even be taking the regular season that serious again, but they've got to get things out. Miami continues to play well. They are 28-21 in the 4th spot right now. You look, a lot of guys giving you a lot of different things. Goran Dragic leading the way in scoring, also giving you just shy of 5 assists. You'd like to see more than that from your point guard. Dion Waiters giving you the points at 14.3. Hassan Whiteside, 14.2, just shy of 12 rebounds. He's also giving you almost 2 blocks per game. And, 3/4 of a steal per game is pretty effective as well. Josh Richardson, then 12.8. Tyler Johnson, 12 points per game. 2.8, 2.1 respectively in the assists. Kelly Olynyk off the bench, just shy of 11 points. So they're getting a lot of contributions from a lot of different guys. That doesn't always necessarily bode well come the playoffs because the game slows down a lot more. You're limiting minutes of guys, but certainly give them credit for where they've gone. If they could get to a second round series, that would certainly be impressive. Washington 27 and 22. John Wall missed the game the other night. He's got a sore knee. We're going to keep an eye on that as we move forward. Washington still just not progressing as I would have liked. After last year, I would have expected this team to be at least a 50-win team. They talked a lot after they lost to the Celtics in that 7th game how they were better than the Celtics. Now, granted, the Celtics have completely overhauled their roster and have improved. Al Horford, really the only guy who remains of the real nucleus. I mean, I guess you could throw Marcus Smart in there as well. Certainly guys like Rozier, certainly guys like Jaylen Brown were there last year. But Jaylen Brown didn't get that many minutes. Al Horford really the only starter. But the Celtics have really improved since that point. Washington is still staggering just a bit. At 27 and 22, you're looking at a team that's going to go about 47 and 35. Bradley Beal leading the way with just under 24 points per game. John Wall still putting in a very good season. Just shy of 20 points at 19.4, 9.3 assists. Very good with the steals. Beal, a good steal. They got a lot of good steals guys on this team. Otto Porter giving you well over 1.5. John Wall, 1.3. Bradley Beal, 1.1 in the steals. John Wall even giving you, he's the leading blocker on the team. Now, that speaks to how good of an athlete and how good of a player John Wall is. It also speaks to the fact, though, that this team is really struggling on the interior. Marcin Gortat, 8.8 points. Markieff Morris, 10.5 points. They're just simply not getting enough from the front court play. Otto Porter Jr. has certainly improved. He's giving you 13.6, but still, for your forwards and centers, that's not good enough. Kelly Oubre has stepped his game up, giving them 12.1 points. Still, though, it really drops off after that. Jody Meeks not doing much. Jan Mahimi off the bench, 3.9 points. It's been Bradley Beal and John Wall for too long that I don't know where this team's going to go. Maybe they get to break those guys up. We'll have to see. But it's a point where I don't see this team really just, overcoming much. Maybe they get to the second round, but for them to make it to the conference finals, I'd be surprised. Now, Milwaukee fired Jason Kidd. Some conflict there. They're 26 and 22. They've won 3 straight games. So let's see how much that will affect them as they move forward. I don't know. They've been pretty up and down. Win a few here, lose a few there. Let's see if they finally put it all together. Giannis Antetokounmpo still putting up big numbers, 28.4, 10.1 rebounds per game, 4.7 assists, 1.5 steals, almost 1.6 steals, over 1.2 blocks. Chris Middleton, finally healthy. He's really living up to that contract. He's putting in some serious points. Eric Bledsoe, who was a nice addition, he's giving you points as well. Malcolm Brogdon, who was the Rookie of the Year last year, 13.7, but only 1.4 in his assists. So that's not really getting the job done. We'll have to see. They got, a few veterans on this team like Mirza Teletovic, Greg Monroe, who's back with the team now. I have to see more from the veterans. Jason Terry has really fallen off in that regard. So Matthew Dellavedova, only 4.4 points, not really giving you that many minutes at 18.5 per game. Let's see. I mean, are they going to, now that Jason Kidd's out of there, just completely go with the young guys and see? Let's see how far Giannis can carry them. And you have the Indiana Pacers still right there, 27 and 23. It's been a pretty strong Eastern Conference thus far this year. Most likely all the teams that make the playoffs are going to finish above 500. Victor Oladipo, 24.1, still leading the way. Miles Turner, who's playing well on the defensive side of the ball, 2.2 blocks per game. Only half a steal a game, but he's not really a steal guy. Giving you 13.6. I'd like to see his scoring increase. You might have something here. Victor Oladipo is still a young guy. Miles Turner is still a young guy. Domantas Sabonis giving you 12.6 and 8.4. Not really any blocks. He's not really that much of an defensive guy. But you have a young group here. Let's see if they can continue to win some games, maybe get in the playoffs. This could be a team that we could look out for moving forward. Philadelphia 24 and 22. Detroit, as we've said all year, they've now lost 8 straight. They're 22 and 26. Let's see if they're able to turn it around. 3 out of the last playoff spot. Looks like Avery Bradley's open for trade. New York Knicks starting to crash back down, 22 and 28. Still only 4 out. They've really got to turn things around at this point. Now Charlotte, maybe it's just a last-ditch effort by this team. They're 20 and 28. Not completely out of it. I mean, there's still only 7.5 from the 4th seed, so which is their division leader in the Miami Heat. So certainly there's a chance for them. Kemba Walker, of course, the trade talks. Dwight Howard, you say what you want. The guy's still giving you, just shy of 16 points, just shy of 13 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks per game. I know his games may not match the analytics, but then don't ask him to score 15 points. I am sorry. I still think this guy has some value. I don't think that this team should be nearly as poor as they are. Jeremy Lamb, though, 13.8. So they have, some guys scoring. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist at 10.5. He has not come on enough. He's been a decent pro, don't get me wrong, but it's just a situation where you would have expected a little bit more from him, being a guy who you could say, go with Kemba Walker and be one of, a big 2 or something of that regard. Let's see if they make any moves, though. Chicago, 18 and 32. They've now lost 4 straight. Brooklyn, 18 and 32. Look, you knew it wasn't going to be a great year for Brooklyn. Still looking at them to get to the 30-win mark, maybe push it to 35. Let's keep an eye on that. They've lost 3 straight. Orlando, just still terrible. They have not been the same since Dwight Howard trade. You want to talk all you want about Dwight Howard. Look how bad Orlando's been since he's left there. And then Atlanta, 14 and 35. Of course, in the Western Conference, Golden State, 40 and 10, winners of 3 straight. We talked about the Celtics game that they were able to win. Steph Curry was sensational. They're a tough team to defend, especially when Steph Curry's right. So certainly this team is really getting into its groove. Let's see if they can push 65 wins again, maybe be pushing about 66, 67. They've piled up the wins over these last couple of seasons. Houston, 35 and 33. They've won their last game, 8 and 2 in their last 10, plus 7.7 in their differential. Mike D'Antoni is going to be the coach of the All-Star team. It's not even East and West anymore. I don't watch the All-Star games. Not really a big fan. Eric Gordon's still giving you the points that you need off the bench. Now Chris Paul has gotten in his groove. Chris Paul almost 2 steals per game as well. 19.4 points, 8.6 assists per game. James Harden is leading the team in assists with 9. We talked about Clint Capella when he's playing. 14.3 points. Gerald Green, that's the guy to keep an eye on, has only played 12 games, 13.7 points. Look, I don't think Houston has the firepower. Guys like Clint Capella, to me, his points are not necessarily, how do we say it? They're more of just the garbage points, as I say. And I don't mean he's getting them in garbage time. What I mean is he's the guy, when there's the double team, you slip it to him, he gets a hoop. He's not a guy who you're going to give the ball to and rely on to get a basket. Now, Gerald Green is one of those guys, so let's keep an eye on that. He's really, for them to have the firepower to really compete with Golden State, he's the guy to keep an eye on. Minnesota, 32 and 20, finally putting it all together. They continue to play well. Jimmy Butler had missed 4 games. They were still all right. They went 2 and 2 there, so nice to see that they didn't completely fall off with the injury they're developing here. Jimmy Butler, 21.7, as we said. Nice balanced scoring. Karl Anthony Towns, 20.1. Of course, Karl Anthony Towns giving you 12.2 rebounds per game as well. Andrew Wiggins, 18.2. Jeff Teague, who I think has been a nice addition. And, of course, at 13.3, Taj Gibson, Jamal Crawford off the bench, the veterans, giving you some nice play. Even a guy like Aaron Brooks off the bench, he's not playing much, but when you need him, you have him. So keep an eye on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and of course keep an eye on the Oklahoma City Thunder. 30 and 20 now, winners of 8 straight, plus 4.3 in the differential. Now they've started to giving up more points. Of course, remember at the beginning of the year they were playing well on the defensive side of the ball, and they were one of the teams, as we said before, the Celtics and the Spurs under 100 giving up. They were one of those teams giving it up. Now we look at their schedule. The Hornets, it started with the Kings, the Lakers, the Cavaliers, who they pounded. Take what you want from the Cavaliers. They've been up and down. The Nets, the Wizards, the Pistons, and the 76ers. Now they have the Wizards again coming up. So it hasn't been the easiest of schedules, or it hasn't been the hardest of schedules, that is. So they've, taken advantage of some pretty weak teams in that regard, but they need it at this point. Let's see if they're finding their groove. I'd still like to see where they're going to put the rest of the offense as well and the rest of the starting lineup. Andre Robertson is now out. He was hurt, so they don't have to really worry about him necessarily. So that was Robertson, though. Am I thinking of someone else? No, it was definitely Robertson who hurt himself. So then now they have to find another starter, though I think that may be a bit of a blessing. I don't think Andre Robertson goes, that well. Could it be Terrence Ferguson who got some starts in here? I'd like to see, but that's important that they figure that out, because they've still got to space the court as well. Of course, Russell Westbrook's still putting up the spectacular numbers: 25.7, 9.5 rebounds, 10.1 assists. Can he get to a point where he's giving you over, the triple-double again as he did last year? New Orleans 27-22. DeMarcus Cousins goes down. They lose the game, of course. We did the NBA in depth on Saturday. Check that out, talking about what they can do with the analytics. It was supposed to be with DeMarcus Cousins as well. Then he got hurt, and I had to do it as it was. Portland 27-22. Then you have the Denver Nuggets 26-23, with the Los Angeles Clippers 25-24 in ninth. Those are the teams to keep an eye on. Because Utah 21-28, probably not going to make a playoff run. The Lakers 19-30, been a real disappointing season for them. Memphis at 17-31, 8.5 out, starting to at least get themselves back together. They just had a terrible stretch there. If they don't trade guys, they might be a team that you're on the outside looking in that could make a playoff run. They'd be the only ones I expect. Phoenix 17-33. Dallas 16-34. We weren't expecting much from either of these teams, and Sacramento, of course, 15-34. All right, Powell Rankings: Golden State, of course, number 1. Houston at number 2. Going to give the Toronto Raptors number 3. Boston Celtics number 4, and the Oklahoma City Thunder number 5, because they've won 8 straight games. All right, be sure to stay tuned for any news that comes across the wire in the NBA, and we'll do the NBA in-depths on Saturday from now on, or player focuses, just something a little bit more on Saturdays, of course. And, of course, we got the Super Bowl coming up, so we'll give you all that stuff on Saturday as well. We'll see you next time, and remember, we appreciate all subscriptions. Have a good one. Thanks.